6 kilometers east of Lagos, a stretch of raw coastline stood waiting. The mission?
Constructed by the China Harbor Engineering Company, this $1.5 billion mega project aims to revolutionize West African trade. In December 2017, the engineering teams mobilized, preparing the vast coastal landscape for transformation. The first step required clearing and securing a massive 90-hectare footprint.
Millions of cubic meters of earth had to be moved to lay the foundation for Nigeria's deepest port. Precision was critical. Every elevation and angle was measured to exact specifications. Under a build, own, operate, and transfer model, the foundation for a 45-year legacy began. Work continued relentlessly, pushing through the intense heat of the Nigerian coast.
Infrastructure lines were laid deep underground to support the massive loads of future terminals.
By early 2018, the sprawling coastal jungle had been tamed into a highly organized construction grid. To support millions of tons of cargo, the ground had to be stabilized with deep-driven concrete piles. Thousands of tons of concrete were poured to create an unbreakable bedrock. Geological testing ensured the Earth could handle the immense weight of superpost Panamax cranes. To meet strict deadlines, construction became a 24-hour operation. With the land prepared, the engineers turned their attention to the mighty Atlantic Ocean. To accommodate the world's largest ships, a colossal dredging operation was initiated. The seabed had to be carved out to create an 11-kilometer-long approach channel. Millions of tons of sand and clay were sucked from the ocean floor.
This channel was dredged to an initial depth of 14 meters, with a future target of 16.5 meters.
Navigating the powerful coastal currents required state-of-the-art maritime technology.
Constant surveying ensured the channel met the exact draft requirements for massive freighters.
At the end of the channel, a massive turning circle was excavated.
This 600-meter turning basin was designed to allow ships carrying up to 16,000 containers to pivot safely.
The dredged sand was repurposed, reinforcing the shoreline and expanding the port's footprint. Months of relentless dredging reshaped the underwater topography of the Lagos coast. Nigeria's deepest port was finally taking its physical shape beneath the waves.
Underwater inspections were conducted to verify the stability of the newly carved trench. The sheer walls of the channel had to be perfectly stable to prevent collapse. With the channel dug, the port needed protection from the relentless Atlantic waves. Construction began on the main breakwater, a critical shield against the open ocean. This 1.5-kilometer barrier utilized a rubble mound design with a geobag core.
For the most exposed sections, a highly resilient composite breakwater concept was applied.
The structure was designed to absorb and deflect the immense kinetic energy of ocean storms.
Stretching far into the sea, it is an engineering marvel in its own right. Simultaneously, work commenced on the secondary barrier. This barrier consists of a sand core, internally fortified by a protective geobag layer. The harbor side was reinforced with a steep stone revetment to prevent erosion.
On the seaward side, an artificial beach was engineered to naturally dissipate wave energy. Together, these massive barriers created a safe, tranquil haven for the world's largest cargo ships.
Inside the protected harbor, construction of the massive container quay wall began. Hundreds of massive steel pipes were driven deep into the seabed to support the docking heavyweights.
These foundations were over-engineered to handle dynamic loads from massive vessels and towering cranes. The steel piles were filled with high-strength concrete, creating an immovable deep-water berth. The initial phase comprised 3 massive container berths, stretching across the waterfront.
Behind the wall, the massive container yard was backfilled and compacted.
A heavy-duty concrete pavement was required to support millions of 20-foot equivalent units.
The terminal yard was designed to process over 2.5 million standard containers annually.
Heavy fixed rails were embedded at the quayside, awaiting the arrival of gigantic shore cranes. The physical footprint of Nigeria's premier logistics hub was now set in stone. Massive shock-absorbing fenders were installed to protect both the dock and the docking vessels.
Heavy-duty bollards, capable of holding ships weighing hundreds of thousands of tons, were anchored into the bedrock. To the west of the container berths, the dry bulk terminal began construction. This 300-meter quay is designed to handle Panamax-class vessels, bringing in raw materials. Advanced silos and warehouses were built to safely store up to 4 million tons of dry bulk annually.
Equipped with advanced loading arms, this terminal will eventually handle vessels up to 45,000 deadweight tonnage.
Miles of pipelines were routed along the breakwater, connecting the dock to a nearby tank farm. Lekki Port was evolving into a highly versatile, multi-purpose maritime beast.
Beneath the concrete, a massive electrical grid was installed to power the automated future of the port.
Towering light masts were erected to ensure operations could run 24 hours a day.
The lighting system generates 300 lux, making the midnight yard as bright as day.
At the nerve center, a highly computerized system was installed to automate container clearance. Optical networks and advanced cameras were set up to minimize human interaction in dangerous loading zones.
On July 1st, 2022, a monumental milestone appeared on the horizon.
The heavy transport vessel Zhenhua 28 arrived from Hong Kong, carrying the port's heartbeat. It brought the first shipment of Superpost Panamax ship-to-shore cranes. These are among the largest cranes in the world, capable of reaching across the widest container ships ever built. Unloading these titans required an incredibly precise roll-off operation. Weighing thousands of tons, the cranes were carefully rolled onto the port's fixed rail system.
The first true deep-sea cranes in Nigeria had finally touched down.
The vessel also delivered 10 rubber-tired gantry cranes for organizing the container yard. Weeks later, in early August, the Zhenhua 35 arrived from Shanghai.
It delivered the final components, more colossal ship-to-shore cranes, and 270 packages of vital accessories. These cranes boast an outreach of 61 meters, capable of lifting across 25 rows of containers.
Operating from an air draft of 52 meters, the operators have a bird's-eye view of the massive freighters. They can lift 65 tons in twin-lift mode or a staggering 85 tons under a single hook. In the yard, the gantry cranes were aligned, ready to stack imported containers with lethal efficiency. With the hardware in place, the electrical lifeblood was pumped into the gigantic machines.
Rigorous testing and dry runs began, synchronizing the steel giants with the port's digital brain.
The computerized clearance system underwent intense stress testing to ensure flawless logistical flow. Advanced camera assists were calibrated, allowing operators to work at difficult, blind angles safely. Every inch of the sprawling 90-hectare facility was subjected to final quality assurance checks. The port's fleet of modern tugboats practiced maneuvering drills in the expansive turning basin.
Final safety demarcations were applied, preparing the zone for heavy, continuous traffic. The breakwater was inspected to ensure it had settled perfectly into the turbulent Atlantic seabed.
Emergency response systems, including high-capacity firefighting tugs, were fully certified.
The approach channel's draft was verified one last time, confirming its deep water capability.
Years of dust, noise, and raw construction finally gave way to a clean, highly advanced logistical machine.
The physical construction by the China Harbor Engineering Company was complete.
In late 2022, the keys to this maritime fortress were ready to be handed over. The EPC contractors prepared to demobilize, leaving behind a permanent economic engine.
Plans were already in motion to connect this mega port to the Nigerian rail network.
This facility stands as a game changer, built to end shipping congestion in Lagos. And with Phase 2 on the horizon, the liquid and dry bulk capacities will only grow.
A beacon of trade, glowing against the dark West African coastline.
Behind the scenes, the digital infrastructure was primed to handle millions of transactions.
The harbor master awaited the ultimate test, the first commercial deep-sea vessel.
Everything was in place. The 16-meter draft, the 600-meter basin, the colossal cranes.
January 22nd, 2023. History approached the shore.
The CMA-CGM Mozart, a massive container freighter, entered the 11-kilometer approach channel. The rubble mound breakwater perfectly shielded the giant vessel from the ocean's swell.
The port's massive turning basin allowed the freighter to pivot with graceful ease. Just hours before the official presidential inauguration, the port proved its capability. The superpost Panamax cranes roared to life, seamlessly lifting cargo from the colossal ship.
Operations flowed with unprecedented speed, validating years of grueling construction.
The rubber-tired gantries organized the yard with computerized precision.
By April 2023, full commercial operations officially commenced. The completed facility was officially handed over, marking a new era for West African logistics. Boasting an estimated $361 billion in revenue potential over 45 years. Lekki Deep Sea Port stands as an indestructible fortress of global trade. Other West African nations are already looking to Lekki as their primary import hub.
With Phase 2 ready to expand liquid and dry bulk capacities, the potential is limitless.
From a dense coastal jungle to the largest seaport in Nigeria. It took millions of man-hours, relentless dredging, and unyielding engineering. It required moving mountains of steel and taming the Atlantic Ocean.
The China Harbor Engineering Company delivered a masterpiece of modern infrastructure.
This is Lekki Deep Sea Port, the new heart of African maritime trade.
The future of logistics has arrived.